Hello guys and welcome to Ova Magica, a game currently in early access. We're just going to get started in this game. This game is about farming and blob management. Now I'm going to skip through all the starting cutscenes, mainly because they take about 5 minutes to get through. So we're going to skip through these when we get the chance, and we're going to get started straight into the game. We're going to run you through the very first day where we're going to be starting the farm, clearing off the area, and starting to really just progress past the very beginning. There is a lot to do in this game currently, and while it is in early access and we don't have all of the features as of yet, we have enough to get started, and it is quite a promising start of the game. This is where you get a choice between male and female. Of course I'm just going to go with the very bare stock. Name them up and get started. So this is the bare stock character. Again, we're just going to skip through the cutscenes. This, like I said, the cutscenes take about 5 minutes, and we just want to get started and moved into here. This is where we get our first choice between eggs. So these eggs can each contain a blob. We get a choice between each one. Each time we click an egg for anything, it's going to give us a bit of a description. This one's going to be storm and cloud and clear sky, which I believe the storm type. You've got the middle one here, which is going to be the fire type, which is the one that I'm going to be picking, mainly because at the moment getting a fire type is a little bit hard at the beginning of the game. And then you have the the earth type. So we've got water in the right there, fire in the middle, and then you've got earth on the left. So again, we're going to start off with the very first egg. So that's a magma type blob. And it's going to ask us to sit on the hatch of the egg. There's two different ways of doing this. You can hold down F, or you can hold down the mouse click. It's completely your choice. And it's going to go through, and we're going to get a nice little first blob of the game. There we go. So we've got the first one named Loki. It's going to give us a new Blobpedia entry. This is going to be very useful later on down the line, where we're going to start finding out that blobs have special abilities. There we go. We're just getting the blob all sorted out now. Let it do its thing for a minute. And then we're just going to start getting into our farm very soon. There is quite a lot of variations on blobs throughout this game. As you see, the one at the very back looks like a little planet. You got one that's looks like a hedgehog, and one that looks like, I'm going to say, whale. Dolphin or something along that lines. Not entirely sure. Again, we're just trying to get through the very first cutscenes, just so we can start getting on with the beginning of the game. We're just going through the very first few cutscenes just before we can start off the game. Of course, it's very long-winded, as most games are at the very beginning, with tutorials and cutscenes, everything. It's going to get us into our first battle right now. It's going to teach us the very basics of blob fighting. So as you can see down the very bottom here on the right hand side, we have an action bar. This action bar is going to move things forward. So the one down here at the very bottom is my blob Loki. Once that hits this line here between command and cast, I can choose an action. And there we go, it's giving me an action where I can choose a skill of dash attack at the moment, more will be unlocked in just a little bit. Of course, I've got to wait for him to reach the end of the cast bar. And this is an important feature. Every time that one of your blob attacks one and it hits, the blob's main attack, that the enemy's blob, will be pushed back slightly. This can become quite useful, especially when it becomes time for fighting free blobs. That's a bit further down though. So we could block attacks, which pushes us back slightly, not all the way back to recovery, but slightly further back. We can use items in the items, which is going to give us health and energy, both of which are on the top right hand corner. The health is going to be the one in red, and the energy is the one in yellow. And then we're just going to continue on and end this fight. There we go, and that is done. We're going to get through this. Of course, each day we can challenge each one of the NPCs to a fight. That will give us resources and experience that will go towards leveling up skills and abilities that the blobs have, which is very important. There we go, so we're finally going to our farm. It's not going to look like much yet, but it will certainly get there. There we are. Yes, it doesn't look like much, I know. Got my work cut out for me today. Of course, the first options in these cutscenes don't really matter. They don't affect our relationships with the NPCs, as far as I am aware. They may do down the line, but at the moment, I've not seen anything done. Right, let's get these lot out of here so we can get started. This is the base tutorial. So on our left there we have our crafting table, and on the right we have our mailbox and our chest. This chest is accessible in several different places in the game, and I'll show you a few of them when we get to it. There we are, we have our first tent. This is where we go to sleep through the night and do our autosaves. Right, there we go. There's the very first day. The first day is mostly cutscenes, unavoidable instances of blob fights, tutorials. We can't do much about that. Once we start getting into the actual proper parts of these days is when we start making some good income, good money. There we go. So each one is down to 4 different seasons, and then you've got 5 weeks and 4 days each of them seasons. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit. So this is the very beginning tutorial of how to manage the farm. Of course we get some gifts. So Jade will give us, I believe, is some pies. I think it's apple pie as memory serves. So we're going to skip the tutorial because I've done it before, and I can walk everyone through it. It's not an issue. We're going to get tons of different items. This is our first goal to build our house. We need 500 coins, 50 wood, 50 stone and 50 fibre. And we've got to talk to the mayor. It's going to give us some basic information. The first thing we're going to do is we've got to dig up the old crops. Get rid of them, they aren't very useful anymore. Dig up these piles. These piles will give us dirt. It's 5 dirt per farming plot. These are very important in the early game. And of course you need to get a lot of dirt to manage the farm. So I've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different sort of seed crops. So let's go and grab myself some dirt and get started up. So the very first thing that we were given was apple pies, which I was correct on. There's two different ways of doing this. We can use them for energy, or we can use them to sell. We won't be able to sell anything at the moment until we get a house, so I'm going to use them for energy. Right. So if we go over to our crafting table just here, you can see we can start crafting. I need one more dirt pile, and then I can plant all the crops. So we're getting quite low on energy, so if I hover over this item and use it, it's going to give me quite a big jump of energy. It makes my life a little bit easier. And let's put our last one down. Now this scarecrow is going to scare off any of the wild blobs that might go into that area. So if I go into here, it will show me the area in a rough circle around there. Anything within this circle will not spawn any wild blobs. This is very useful because they can damage and destroy your crops, and it's a bit of a pain, especially once you start reaching the higher levels and the higher cups. Speaking of the cups, think of them as leagues, so to speak. So we will get to that a little bit later, but each time you progress through a cup, you have to fight some trainers and blobs, and then after doing it, each one of the blobs in the wild areas around here, including the trainers, they are a lot stronger. So you want to be careful how fast you progress through that. So we're going to take our watering can, we're just going to water up everything. Once again, we're getting pretty low on energy, so let's eat up. A little bit later on we can upgrade some skills that reduce the energy cost of doing certain activities. But at the moment we are kind of stuck. So at the moment the watering can only water up to 8 plants at a time. Beyond that you have to go to the river to refill it. I'm hoping soon we get an upgrade to that. So after that, we're going to look over into here, we press tab to get into our menu. This is the days of the week. So as you can see, on the 4th day we've got the painted egg event, which is going to give us a lot of different bits, and we can get eggs for blobs on there. Shooting stars, that's a fun one. That's where we can get a lot of materials like copper, iron. So we've got our first set of fingers here, which is for wood, stone and fibre. We're just going to get started with that. Oh, I don't need that at the moment, Let's put them away, and then it asks us to go into town and talk to the mayor. So if you press M on your keyboard as you come in, you're going to see all these little heart icons everywhere. Each time we look at one down here, this is someone that we can talk to today that will increase our favour with them. This one is a meeting of a new area, which is going to be important a bit later down the line. This one is meeting a brand new person we've not met before. So, right, we're going to go up here. I would always recommend grabbing the consumables and the collectibles around the area because they will be useful later down the line. They can also be used, some of them such as the rose raspberries can be used for food and energy. So the first task we have to do is go and talk to the mayor, which is in this building just over here. So if you ever get lost, just go straight forward. There is the mayor's house. We're going to get some cutscene. Let's speed things up a bit. This is where we start looking into getting missions and quests, so to speak. Which is very good because they will give us access to additional buildings and all them, which is very good because you get access to clothing, buildings, spas, and everything like that, which is very, very good because most of the town around the area is currently empty, and there will be more added throughout the time. So there we go, we've got our first mission. Talk to the mayor, introduce yourself to everyone. There's 13 befriendable characters here. Once again, we can see them through the menu here on the map. Of course, some will be inaccessible at the moment, and more will be much better off later on. So the first one we're going to speak to is just over here. This one is very important. This is where we upgrade everything. So upgrade our tools, buildings, and stuff like that. So once again, each time we talk to these people every single day increases our relation with them. And this is going to start increasing that little heart on the left hand side there. This heart will increase. Once it reaches full, we get an event with that NPC, which moves them to the next one. And then we get another event after we fill that heart up. I think at the moment the most we can get to is about 3. But of course this one was very important. We needed the axe and we needed the pickaxe. This is going to be very important going forward. There we go, and it also gives us a stat point, which is very, very useful. So we're going to go to this menu here, and here we've got access to all of the increases we can do with stats. These would decrease the energy cost of certain activities as a top layer. We've got the botanist will show the information on the crops, how long they are taking to grow. This will show us whether for tomorrow, say it could be raining, we won't have to water our plants. We've got the blob analysis, which is for when we're in a blob fight. We can view the power level of these blobs. Quite useful, especially near the end. Mutations, that's for blob breeding. We're not going to be able to get into that as of yet. Selling prices for fish, crops, and materials. Very useful. First thing we're going to do is go and just chop down some wood. Get some wood, get some fibre, and get some stone. That's the main primary goal that we have to do to unlock our house. There is a lot of running around at the moment. Once you get a bit further into the game, you do get a form of transportation that is quite useful. So one of them is going to be this. That's your fast travel points. If you get each one of them, I think there's 7 or 8 of them at the moment. You get access to teleport to them at any time, at any point of there. So as long as you have access to one of them, you get access to all of them. So this is how we start getting our materials. So fibre will drop from the trees and the bushes. There we are. Rocks will of course come from rocks. The bigger rocks will also give us more quantity of rock drops. While the small ones only give us 1, the bigger ones will give us 4. So it's going to drop off all of the useless stuff that I don't need at the moment. There we go. So you'll notice we have a stump here. These have to be dug out of the ground and they will give us an additional bit of wood, which is good. We do need that. Like I said, we need 50 wood and 50 fibre, along with 50 stone to go through our next area. But I shall do that a little bit later, as this is already reaching a fair amount of time. So we're going to save the game. And that is going to be it. Hopefully you had fun and a bit of information while watching this. I hope it all goes well. And I shall see you in the next one.